Billionaire swore off love until a Virgin Village black girl stole his heart and carried his baby. A warm welcome to my beloved family. I'm your storyteller, James, and today I need to speak straight from the heart. First off, thank you, truly. If you're here listening, you're part of something rare and real. I know life pulls us in 100 directions, yet you've chosen to share your time with me. That means everything. Now tell me, how many of you are my loyal viewers? Comment below and let me know where you're watching from. United States, Canada, UK, South Africa, Philippines, Australia, or somewhere I've never heard of. I want to hear from you all. I mean that. Your presence reminds me this isn't just content, it's connection. But I need to share something heavy today. My reach has been dropping lately, and honestly, some channels have even taken my stories without credit. It hurts. Because this right here, this channel, it's not just stories, it's home. And lately I've felt like it's slipping through my fingers. That's why I need you. If you've ever felt something from my stories, if even once they touched your heart, please share this video with 3 friends, that's all. Your support is the only thing keeping this alive. And if you're new or haven't subscribed yet, please do. That simple click is more than support. It's a heartbeat to this family. Thank you again. Truly. Now let's dive into a story you won't forget. Chris Wess, a name that stirred both fear and awe. A man who built an empire from blood, bone, and cold willpower. His icy blue eyes didn't just see, they sliced. His jaw clenched at the mere scent of emotion. Chris wasn't just a billionaire. He was a storm wearing skin. And after betrayal shattered his soul, he made a vow. No love ever again. He swore it in silence beneath a downpour, a vow forged in pain and never once broken. Love was for the weak. Love was deceit. And Chris Wokes didn't bleed for anyone anymore. His businesses spanned oceans. His name opened doors. But beneath the golden iron, he hid a heart that no longer dared to beat freely. Then fate, a cruel, calculating creature, stepped in. What was supposed to be a short trip to a nameless village for land assessment turned into something else, something far worse, or far better. He stepped off his convoy, tailored boots sinking into dry earth. The villagers stared from shadows, wary. His presence was a chill across their sun. And then, it happened. That laugh, soft, melodic, alive. Time hiccuped. His head turned before he could stop it. There she stood, barefoot and radiant, a girl with glowing mahogany skin and braids that danced in the wind. Her cotton dress was plain, her soul wasn't. She was sunlight in human form, and Chris, who didn't do feelings, felt. He cursed himself, turned sharply away. "You don't do emotions," he muttered, but her laugh clung to him like smoke. That night in his villa he couldn't sleep. Strategies vanished. All he saw was her, wild-braided, sun-drenched, laughing. It burned him, irritated him. But more than that, it intrigued him. Next morning, pretending coincidence, he walked, something he never did. There she was again, near a well, humming while washing vegetables. Just a village girl, he told himself. But then their eyes met. She smiled, disarming. "Hi," she said, voice dripping like warm honey. "Lara," she added, hand extended. He hesitated. Touch meant danger, yet something in him rebelled, and he took her hand. "Chris," he replied, just that. Her name now burned into his memory. Lara. He kept his distance after, but he saw her everywhere, helping, laughing, existing. Real, unfiltered, unafraid. And slowly his armor cracked. A week passed. He knew he should leave. She was a distraction, dangerous. But on festival night, he lingered. Music, laughter, firelight. She danced with children, barefoot and unburdened. She spotted him, waved. He didn't wave back, but he didn't leave either. She walked over, breathless. "Always watching," she teased. He shook his head. "I don't dance." "Then walk," she smiled, tugging his hand. And he followed. They wandered past huts into quiet starlight. "You don't talk much," she said. "Talking leads to feeling," he replied, "and feelings destroy." Lara studied him. Not all. Some heal. He clenched his jaw. You don't know. No, she said. But I know you're hurting. That night they spoke of nothing and everything. He opened up without realizing. And when their lips met, it wasn't planned. It just happened. Chris wasn't gentle, but Lara didn't pull away. She embraced his storm. That night beneath stars, he took her virginity, not as conquest, but as a man who forgot how to feel and finally did. And when it was over, she lay in his arms. For the first time in years, Chris felt peace. At dawn, he left. No note, no goodbye. But Lara's world had shifted forever. Life was now blooming inside her. Morning in the village came with its usual songs. Roosters, pots, soft footsteps. But Lara felt different. She stood at the river, remembering the night her soul stretched wide and awakened. Her skin caught sunlight, but she barely noticed. Something inside her had changed. She felt full, alive, afraid. Her Chris had passed through like a storm, brief, intense, unforgettable. And now, stillness. But even in absence, he lingered. In her thoughts, her breath, her bones. She told no one. Not out of shame, but because some stories live in silence. Her fingers sometimes reached out, as if touching memory. She had no regrets. Her innocence wasn't stolen. It was gifted. To a man whose silence screamed louder than words. She had never known wealth or cities, but she understood seasons, patience, life. She didn't think of his money. She remembered his eyes, the way he looked at her like she'd woken a part of him he'd buried. Days passed. No word. The ache grew, not for riches, but for a connection that had carved itself into her. Then, signs, morning nausea, odd warmth, a belly that whispered. She didn't panic at first, but when her cycle skipped and her senses heightened, truth came quietly. She was pregnant. She sat by the river, hand on her stomach. "There's life inside me," she whispered. It scared her. It filled her. She didn't know what Chris would say, or if he'd ever return. But she knew the baby wasn't a mistake. It was made from something real. Broken pieces colliding in the dark and forming something whole. Far away in his city fortress, Chris sat on the edge of his bed, haunted. He hadn't touched another woman since. Couldn't. Their faces blurred. Their voices meant nothing. But her laughter, it echoed. Always. Laura's brown skin, her soft words, her gaze that saw him, truly saw him, haunted him. He cursed himself for leaving, for staying silent, for pretending she hadn't meant anything, when she had. Everything. But fear bound him. Fear of love, fear of pain, fear of surrender. Yet the longer he stayed away, the more he unraveled. And back in the village, Lara moved with grace and carried so much more than just herself. Chris's breath hitched. He stared at the tiny figure in black and white, a curve of life forming in a sea of darkness. And for the first time in years, tears filled his eyes. He hadn't cried when his father left, not when his mother passed, not even when he realized he had built an empire, but forgotten to build a home. But this tiny being, half him, half the woman he couldn't forget, was the crack in his armor he could no longer ignore. He pressed the photo to his lips, as if it might speak to him, might whisper what Lara had written between the lines. "Come back if you want, but I won't wait. Not like before." Chris stood up, the city suddenly feeling foreign, suffocating. He walked to the window looking out at the skyline, then down at the world that now felt too far from where his soul needed to be. The decision didn't come with fireworks or declarations. It came with quiet certainty, the kind that doesn't need to be spoken to be real. He packed nothing, just his passport and the sonogram, carefully tucked into his coat pocket like a compass guiding him home. Back in the village, Lara sat by the fire, stitching tiny clothes with trembling fingers. She didn't know if he'd return. She didn't need him to. But every stitch she made held a prayer, not for love, but for peace, for her child to know warmth, for herself to know closure. But as the wind shifted, she paused. She felt it again, that same whisper she had felt at the river weeks ago, the same stillness before a miracle. And this time, when a knock echoed on her wooden door, she didn't flinch, because somehow she already knew everything he did. It was a love that transcended the glittering world they now inhabited. A love that, in its simplicity and depth, was richer than any diamond or gold. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Chris stood beside Lara on the balcony of his penthouse, looking out over the city below. The lights of the city twinkled like stars scattered across the earth, but for him, nothing compared to the radiance of the woman beside him. "Do you ever think about the past?" Lara asked quietly, her voice soft as the evening breeze. She rested her head on his shoulder, her hand holding his tightly, the weight of the question heavy between them. Chris's chest tightened, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Every day," he admitted, "but not in the way I used to. Before, I only saw it as mistakes. Now I see it as part of the journey that led me to you." His voice was steady, but there was a vulnerability there, something raw and honest. "I never believed I could love like this. I didn't think I deserved it. But you," he paused, squeezing her hand gently, "you showed me that I do." Lara's heart swelled with emotion, and she turned her face up to him, her eyes searching his. "Chris, I—" Before she could finish, he leaned down, his lips brushing against hers in a kiss that spoke of everything they had been through, everything they were now. The kiss was slow and deep, a promise that was woven into the very air around them. It wasn't just the passion of the moment, it was the culmination of all the days and nights, the words and silences, the fears and hopes that had brought them together. When they finally pulled away, Chris rested his forehead against hers, his breath warm against her skin. "You are everything to me," he whispered, as if that single sentence could encompass the depth of his feelings. Lara closed her eyes, letting the warmth of his words sink into her soul. In his arms, she had found more than love. She had found her home, a place where she could grow, where she could be herself without fear. And as the stars began to emerge in the sky above them, she realized that this was the beginning of their forever. "I love you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Chris's eyes softened, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "And I love you," he answered, the words as sure and solid as the ground beneath them. "Always." And so they stood together, not just as lovers, but as partners in a life they had chosen, a life built on the foundation of trust, love, and the promise that they would never let go of each other again. His chest, their hearts beating in sync, and he'd whisper once more, "You saved me." In that moment, everything that had once seemed important, wealth, power, status, faded into the background. Lara was his world, his reason, his home. He no longer measured success in stock markets or acquisitions. He measured it in the quiet moments with her and Jace, in the soft smiles exchanged over breakfast, in the joy that bloomed in their shared life. Their journey had begun in the most unexpected of ways, with a cold, distant billionaire and a village girl with no need for grandeur. But together they had built something far more valuable, a love that transcended everything. It was a love that wasn't just about passion, but about devotion, about small gestures that spoke volumes, and about being there every day for each other. Lara, now glowing in the comfort of his love, would often catch his gaze across the room, and in that glance there was everything they had become, a team, partners in life, parents to Jace, but most of all, soulmates. She would smile, a smile that had once felt impossible, because in his arms she had found not just a future, but a forever. Chris, the man who had once feared love, had learned the power of it. And in Lara, he had found the truest kind of wealth, a love that made him feel whole, a love that taught him that the richest moments in life were the ones spent in the quiet, tender exchanges when the world faded away, and it was just the two of them. Their love had turned him into someone new, someone better, and he was determined to cherish that every single day. As he watched Lara and Jace, he whispered once more, "I love you, always," a storm breaking through the calm, wild, and uncontrollable. It wasn't just the way she made him feel alive. It was the way she reminded him of who he was and could be. She was his anchor, his fire, and his peace all at once. And as their love continued to unfold, like petals, layer after delicate layer, Chris realized that this was not the fairy tale he had once imagined for himself. It was real. It was messy. It was painful. But it was everything. It was his everything. In every stolen moment, in every lingering kiss, in every breathless night, Chris and Lara didn't just live. They thrived in each other. Their love was not a destination but a journey, one that they would walk together, hand in hand, forever. In those quiet hours when the world outside seemed too loud, when everything that had once mattered felt distant, Chris knew one truth. He had found something that money could never buy. Love. True, deep, and all-consuming love. And with Lara, he had found his home. Not in any house or city, but in the safe haven of her arms. Every day, Chris's obsession with her grew, but it wasn't a selfish obsession. It was an admiration of everything she was. Her strength, her kindness, her ability to love so fiercely. It made him want to be better. For her, for them. She had once shown him that life wasn't just about power and success. It was about love, trust, and connection. And now in her arms, he had everything he ever needed, everything he had ever craved. So when they whispered promises to each other in the dark, when they spoke without words and their hearts beat as one, Chris knew that their love was eternal. It was woven into the very fabric of their souls, a bond so strong that nothing, not time, not distance, not even fate itself, could ever break it. And as he kissed her again, with the same intensity as the first time, he thought to himself, "This is it. This is my forever." This story radiates so much warmth, love, and transformation. It's truly a testament to how love evolves over time, how it grows deeper and more profound with every shared moment, every challenge faced, and every gesture of kindness. Chris and Laura's relationship, from its passionate beginnings to its peaceful, full-circle moments of gratitude, is so beautifully crafted. The way their love manifests in little things, laughter, quiet support, and even the growth of their son Jace, gives it such a tender, almost ethereal quality. You really captured the essence of a love story that isn't just about romance, but about building a life together, lifting each other up, and transforming the world around them. The addition of their philanthropic work and the way they pour into others adds so much depth, showing that true love isn't just about what we receive, but what we give. Their humility and sense of purpose, along with their ability to balance the wealth and privilege they have with compassion and grace, make them such a powerful example. In the final scene, with the anniversary celebration on the same beach where it all started, brings everything full circle. It's poetic, heartwarming, and such a beautiful way to symbolize the continuity and growth of their love. What was your inspiration behind such a profound and uplifting love story?